On this Andy's Auto Sports Short, we're going to talk about ignition boxes. Now, what an ignition box does is basically it controls your ignition coil. Now, there are several different brands to choose from, and what they do is they turn your factory coil into a capacitive discharge style coil. Now, in order to understand that, you first need to understand how a coil works. Now, what a coil does is it has 12 volts constantly running to the positive side of the coil, and the negative side is basically the switch. So when you close that circuit, all that 12 volts that's building up inside those coils, inside of the ignition coil, basically that's the trigger for it to discharge through the coil wire and into your spark plug. Now that you know how a coil works, let's talk about how the ignition box assists the coil in that process. Now, what an ignition box does is it basically acts as a capacitive discharge. Now, below 3,000 RPM, this is going to give you multiple sparks per cycle, which means instead of that spark plug only firing once, it's going to fire 3 times. Now, that's only below 3,000 RPM. Above 3,000 RPM, there's not enough time for that coil to saturate and recharge as the RPM goes up. And at that point, it acts as a capacitive discharge, which is going to give you a much higher spark, but only 1 per cycle. The more horsepower your vehicle has, the less efficient it is at lower RPM, especially older carbureted vehicles. A multi-spark ignition box is definitely going to help with drivability, burn more of that fuel, and reduce emissions. If you make a lot of horsepower with your car, you definitely need more energy so you can fire those spark plugs. I can tell you for sure, without an ignition box, your factory system is going to come up way short. So an ignition control box gives you better fuel economy because it burns more of the fuel. Because it burns more of the fuel, there's less oil contamination and a lot crisper when you hit the throttle. Now, there are different styles of ignition boxes with different options. Some of them have built-in boost retard, so if you have a boosted engine, supercharged or turbocharged, as the boost comes up, it'll actually retard the timing for you. There are also some that have a module in there that if you're running nitrous, you push the nitrous button, it'll automatically take out as many degrees of timing as you'd like. And then there's still others that have just a built-in rev limiter so that you don't have to worry about over-revving your engine. There's an application for just about everything. So the bottom line is an ignition box is going to help you create more horsepower because you burn more fuel and make your engine run more efficiently. The popular brands we carry are Crane, Excel, MSD, and Mallory. We hope you've learned something today, and we'll see you on another Andy's Auto Sports Short.